London calling, UK companies investing in Venezuela. Is that happening? Well, today we discuss.
London calling to the faraway towns, the war is declared.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Today we are gonna discuss the possibility, a great probability of UK companies investing in Venezuela. And this information comes from a conference recently in London, just a few weeks ago, where several companies, big companies from the United Kingdom, most of these companies actually are FTSE 100 companies, so that means those are very important household names on the UK that are doing the due diligence in order to invest in Venezuela, and actually some of such companies have already presence within Venezuela. In this particular conference, the participation was not only for UK companies, but also many big players within the Venezuelan business world. A handful of the most important businessmen in Venezuela were actually on such conference. And if you are from Venezuela, you already know these names that regardless if you are an expert on business and entrepreneurship and investing in Venezuela, well, those names are household names here on the country, and also several specialists that they were invited in order to give their opinion, their thoughts on the country. So today we are going to discuss which were those conversations and the conclusions, overall the consensus from this particular conference. The first topic of discussion on this particular conference was the political situation. Of course, when you are doing the due diligence regarding Venezuela, you have to know the particular political situation on the country that is different compared to the narrative that most people have abroad, especially on Western nations. Of course, on this particular conference, this was not for journalists, politicians, anything like that. Are big-time investors, and of course, they usually get better information compared to Western media and Western sources, and of course, the mindset is completely different. Having said that, the first discussion was regarding the elections and how the country will look, with each candidate. That right now we have the incumbent president, Nicolas Maduro, and we have the opposing candidate, the favorite opposition candidate right now, that is Edmundo González Urrutia, former diplomat from the Venezuelan government, and also which are the scenarios for these two particular candidates. Of course, my clients, that when they come with me, they are doing the due diligence for themselves. They already have a detailed brief about the situation in Venezuela regarding politics. So each of my clients have been already informed regarding the political situation in Venezuela that is a little bit different compared to the information that most people think abroad. And actually, Barclays, this particular very important financial firm, and they already issue a statement right after this particular conference to their particular clients, their investor clients. Remember, Barclays is a very big firm, so their clients are very important people. They send a private letter regarding their analysis, political analysis on Venezuela and how will affect further investments in the country. And I kind of agree with Barclays' statement. I did my own review regarding the conclusions of the Barclays statement. I put it on my newsletter, so my newsletter subscribers already have that information as well. Now, why Venezuelan businessmen, talking the big names here regarding private businesses in the country, they were attending to this particular conference in London? Well, they gave their own takes about the Venezuelan economy that is very different comparing to the narrative abroad. So these people are actually very successful. So That's why they are household names. And actually, the largest private companies here in the country are owned or they have a substantial stake on such companies. So these people, of course, they struggled during the crisis, the 80% GDP collapse, but afterwards they were able first to be resilient and then to adapt to the nuances of the new Venezuelan economy. And these companies, the big UK companies investing in Venezuela, a couple of such companies already have investments in the country. In which industries they are investing? Well, first, the usual suspect is the oil industry. A couple of the major UK multinationals regarding oil and gas, they either have presence in the country or they will be having a significant presence in years to come, both on the heavy crude oil, natural gas, basically the entire Venezuelan energy industry. But it's not only about oil. Also, you have financials, you have industrial, so manufacturing, maybe UK products may reach the Venezuelan market, and also, of course, commerce, services, and that kind of thing. They are doing the due diligence in order to have a presence in Venezuela, and of course, doing the due diligence if this particular presence is going to be profitable in years to come. So how's the sentiment regarding companies abroad? And of course, private businessmen here in the country, how's the sentiment working regarding the political situation? Well, actually, it's quite good and it's better compared to most people think abroad. If depending on the situation, the best case scenario, of course, is going to be very, very, very good. Now, the good thing right now about Venezuela and the Venezuelan situation is that there is a call option because the worst case scenario is not as draconian as most people think. The worst thing of the Venezuelan situation was on 2017, and we had that 80% GDP collapse. However, the worst case scenario is a flat scenario. I'm talking the worst case. And so the risk is way lower compared to most people think. Of course, when you're investing, business, entrepreneurship, you know that risk is par. It's just one thing that you have to deal with everywhere. And in Venezuela, of course, it's not an exception. And there are greater risks compared to other nations. However, the risk, the spread on that risk is actually narrower compared to most people, especially the less sophisticated, less well-informed people abroad think about Venezuela. So that's one of the biggest opportunities within the country. Now, why the UK companies are actually interested in Venezuela, putting aside that, of course, the political situation in Venezuela. Actually, the UK companies can become the most competitive, the most successful companies in Venezuela. Usually, UK companies, first, they give you very good quality, also very reasonable ROI, but also the culture regarding the UK, and I explained this a couple times here on my platform, is that the British culture is actually a good fit with Venezuelan society, not only in business, not only on entrepreneurship, but also in society overall. So the products that you have from the UK can be substantial winners, significant winners within the country. There are less competition from the West compared to other countries all over the world, and even in Latin America. So the UK companies can have a significant edge, tactical advantage on the market, create bigger market shares, and also the products are desirable here in the country when you can adapt the Venezuelan nuances and also adapt, of course, the structure and the know-how of the country, combined, of course, with the know-how and the value of each of these particular UK British companies that can become successful in the country. They will be successful with a long-term plan. So at the end of the day, the UK companies positioning here in the country, the risk is not going to be as great. There is a risk, of course, but not as great, significantly lower compared to the perception abroad. That's one thing. The second thing is the know-how and the value that these companies can bring to the country. That particular value will be absorbed quickly for the, of course, the Venezuelan business world, And also regarding the competition in Venezuela is going to be easier for a UK company in order to create a large market share compared to other countries in the world, especially in Latin America. But the last thing is that right now will be the moment at least to do the due diligence in order to position your companies, this particular case, British companies within Venezuela, because on this particular time it's less risky invest in Venezuela, but at the same time, the opportunity to create market share cents on the dollar is going to be great, and you position yourself in a market that is very special, has a very particular dynamic, a very particular consumer base, and the opportunities for decades to come are far greater than most people think abroad.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.
London calling, and we ain't got no swing except for the ring, the truncheony thing. The ice age is coming, the sun's zooming in.